ready to rock with the UFO phenomenon, because it's about to come out. And the interesting stuff is, like, we have a lot of people who are saying that they don't know if we could handle all of the truth, which is really weird, because I feel like all the stories that could come out right now, I feel like I could handle. So I don't know what is around the corner that we wouldn't be able to handle, and I'm sure that part will not even come out. It will probably won't even come to light. But like, if you just stop and think about the situations here that we have non-human intelligence, NHI. We have UFOs, USOs, okay, and UAP. All of which are things that we can essentially not classify as an actual subject. You and I have just seen blurry videos, but that's about it. And we've been told by upper ups that something exists, which is, I mean, cool. You know, we were also told at one point in time that Pluto was a planet, then it wasn't a planet, then it was a planet. So, like, what are we supposed to believe in? You know what I mean? But if we look at our options here, we have UFOs, USOs, and non-human intelligence. What's classified as non-human intelligence? Essentially, AI could be, right? And if I remember right, there was a hearing, and then after the hearing, Laszlo ended up catching audio of one of the dudes from our government stating that it's something to do with AI. And he goes, I don't know, could be. I'll find the clip for you guys somewhere. But it was interesting. So AI is still on the table, and to me, that's kind of a hot topic. Like, hold that one up there, because we're saying, like, we're calling it other dimensional. David Grush said that, right? He said it's other dimensional. And that could still be AI. If you really take a look at AI, it's quite interesting, right? Because we all know it as like Siri and Google and all those things, but recently it has been an absolute uptick. And not just that, but like last year, the time of all this UFO alien breakout world, like word that just been started coming around, there was also some big time players in the game who put a shutdown to that. It was ChatGPT got released to all of us. And during that time period, all of a sudden you had people who were like the creators of ChatGPT, the creators of AI, the godfather, if you will, they called him. They came out quite quickly and said, we need to put a halt on the creation of ChatGPT, because it could literally put humanity to extinction. That was their words. It was on TV for a brief amount of time. It was here for a brief amount of time. But then it just got swept under the rug. That was a big deal that just got kind of swept away. It was such a big deal, as a matter of fact, that the godfather himself, who created AI, literally left and said, I am sorry for what I've done. Like, okay. Like, well, what do you mean? So, AI is scary. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a computer. We're talking about technology. If you guys look that up on the chart, by the way, I want you to go, when you get free time, go correct me when I'm wrong. But AI actually came out in the early 50s, 40s era, which is a long time ago. So, that seems to be right around the same time as the crash of Roswell. Like, actually, it was like 2 or 3 years after the crash of Roswell, which is quite interesting. And also, when you consider it to be otherworldly or other dimensional, like, why is the internet not? It could be a network of dimension. We don't know. We know it as we use the internet today because I'm talking to you guys, but what are they classifying as otherworldly, other dimensional? However, that being said, we're going to take AI off the table for a moment and say that they have non-human biologics. Okay, biologics. Luis Elizondo said that we had like bones. David Grush said we had like bodies. So that might not be AI, but it still could be, right? other dimensional. That's interesting. So, is it possible that we have the capabilities of opening up a wormhole, per se, and hopping from point A to point B and allowing ourselves to interact with things from a different time period? That puts us into that category. Are they just time travelers? Because when you truly think about this, the Nazis actually did experiment with a bell-shaped UFO, and Hitler was really obsessed with trying to figure out time travel. And not just that, but what is his name? Oh my God, what is his name? Nope, not Edison. Oh man, I can see his face too. He's the one that played with electricity. Chat, let me know. He played with electricity. Oh, Tesla. Nikola Tesla. I got you. Nikola Tesla ended up saying before he could see the past, present, and future when he did an experiment and it went wrong. He got stuck in his room and he was unable to leave. And he said during that experiment, he was able to see the past, present, and future. Whether or not he was just getting electrocuted and just calling it as it was, we do not know. So they're already, look at the table. Yes, remote viewing, Bob says. Remote viewing, that's another thing. That's something, that's an interesting thing in itself right there, because as they were doing remote viewing, when it first came out, actually, United States was behind on remote viewing, to believe it or not. We were all set in stone, excited about life, and then all of a sudden we realized that the Nazis were stealing our ideas, and we're like, how the heck are they getting our information? Well, then the United States does what the United States does best, is steals one of their players, pulls them in and be like, so, y'all be figuring out some stuff. We want to know how it's done. And then we play Big Brother and throw down the dollars, and ladies and gentlemen, guess what we got to do? We learned about remote viewing. The CIA. It's interesting. Boy, money talks, doesn't it? I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, remote viewing is definitely an interesting thing too, for sure. But UFOs, UAPs, man, I don't know. I thought for a long time, I was like, yes, like it's definitely another species from another planet. But now I'm second guessing that. I really don't know. Man, if I had to really guess, I'm going to say it's technology. That is, I think that, I think that there are crafts. I think that somehow something is giving us those crafts. Time travel might be the most logical thing. I have also heard that we actually have created a craft. If you guys have kept up on my Facebook page, on my Facebook channel, those of you guys who do, let me know, comment in the chat. But I've been posting about us being able to go faster than the speed of light. Einstein had three theories, essentially. The first was that traveling faster than the speed of light is impossible. Secondly, traveling faster than the speed of light is possible, and if we could, what would happen? And that would be considered time travel. And third, we don't go three. But apparently, traveling faster than the speed of light is actually possible, and we can do it. But by doing it, we're not actually physically moving. We are essentially warp drive, and the best way to describe this is we take time and space and we pull it. So we have a craft that, from what we've learned, okay, like actually learned, we have some sort of craft. This craft can defy the physics and G-forces. It's anti-gravity. It can float. And instead of it actually having to push through and fight G-forces, it will take space and time around it and essentially bend space and time so everything moves around it and it doesn't move at all. And that's the technology that I'm talking about that's getting ready to maybe come out. But essentially it creates a wormhole and then takes its carpet and like bends and pulls its carpet up, and then it just like spits it out the back. So there was no G-force. It didn't hurt us. It didn't or crush our bones, even though to the humans or the average person who's sitting there watching this in space would just see it just poof, glitch, because it just, oh man, it's so hard to describe. It essentially would just pull space and time and hop. It's the best way to describe it. But that would explain when we see UFOs, when we see UAPs, how they just disappear. They're there for a second and they blink away. Also, funny stories though is Bigfoot. We ever heard stories about Bigfoot out there? All of a sudden Bigfoot appeared, and then I couldn't even get a good picture of him. Okay? How many pictures have we seen of UFOs? How many pictures have we seen of Bigfoot that are blurry? Okay? There's a possibility that they're in a different dimension. Okay? If Bigfoots are real, that would explain where they are. The fact that maybe they could open up this portal, or maybe they're a shadow in our dimension, that essentially when we see them, they're just kind of glitching through. Also, fun story, the Tic Tac was described that way. The Tic Tac UFO, UAP. What's up, guys? It's nice to see you guys. I'm seeing some people in the chat. Yo, I've been off the grid for a little bit, but I'm back. And it's about to get heavy when it comes to UFO information. But, yeah, so Tic Tac. They described the Tic Tac as being able to literally go through the clouds, through the water, up and down into space in a matter of seconds. Just boom, right? How is that logical? How is that possible? Unless it's the anti-gravity that I was just speaking of, that doesn't make sense. So, they were saying it could possibly be a shadow, a figment in our universe. So essentially, we would be seeing a flicker of a shadow from something happening in another point in time. And when that object cuts through the water, it doesn't interact with the water, because essentially it's the water's there in our world, but it's not there in their world. So this essentially, we're looking at two specific timelines and graphs, and it could be a flying car driving from its home to the grocery store, but in our world we're seeing it as a plane, as an object that just flew from the clouds into the water. Does that make sense? I'm trying to break it down for us. But we have to think of time essentially like a record. Okay? So in this theory, time is shaped like a record. There's a point where it starts and there's a point where it ends. And when you put the needle down, it goes and it goes all the way down to the center. Time has been written from the end to the beginning already in this theory. So it's kind of like the string line theory. And essentially, right now, we're somewhere in the middle of the ride of this DVD, and we're able to somehow see the future or the past because it's somehow scraping against our timeline, and there's something that's causing those to just touch in certain places. And when you're in those locations, whoop, next thing you know, you're seeing into the future, you're seeing into the past, or you're seeing into the present. And that is what Nikola Tesla could have been seeing when he was in the middle of his experiment. Although that is just a theory, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty proud of that. Pretty proud of that one. Cheers. So what's going on, you guys? I'm taking a little, what's happening? Okay. But do we boop into there? Do we boop into theirs? I'm guessing so. I'm guessing we might boop or bop into another timeline, kind of hitting each other. Thus could explain ghosts, right? When we have a ghost encounter or a like a ghost or something, all of a sudden we see something move across the counter, or we see something unexplainable in our world. And it happens just for a fraction of a second, so fast that we couldn't even think about it. But it could be timelines interacting with one another from a different timeline, where either that also could explain deja vu, possibly, but maybe somebody in their other timeline picked up a pot and set the pot down on their stove, and that caused a ripple effect into our timeline where we're like, whoa, what the heck was that? So It's interesting to think about. Definitely is. There is so many different theories out there, and I'm super excited to see these theories get thinned down after our next couple hearings. The hearings are happening next month, by the way. They're supposedly set in stone, and there's two of them, but we have not heard dates, nor will we probably until like all of a sudden day of. And the reason they're going to do that is because last time we tried to have a hearing, NASA and the big boys, the big brothers, came in and said, no, 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 you're not going to be talking about that information. And our Congress was like, sit down. But because NASA stepped up, because the big boys stepped up, AARO and all those big players, they stepped in, it scared the living daylights out of the whistleblowers because these people have some serious consequences. What's up? Yeah, so these people have some serious consequences if they come forward, and so they are actually really scared. And so the big brother stepped in and said, no, you ain't gonna be doing that, and it shut them down, and we had a hearing, but it wasn't as they wanted it. I think there was like 10 people that actually didn't even show up for that hearing because they were so scared. That being said, this next hearing is not going to be the same because they're not going to tell those people. They have protection plans in place for these people. And we are going to be getting a couple of really good hearings that are going to shake us up. But that being said, for those of you guys who have just jumped in, this Friday, there's a video coming out with Luis Elizondo's book, Imminent, that just dropped today. And this video, I think, is like 23 minutes long. Jaw-dropping information will be shed on Friday. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm pumped. Like, it's been slow burn this year when it comes to UFO phenomenon information. I've spent my time working on a side project that I pray I get to share with you guys someday. I have spent my last year, burning a side project that is on a place that is not out yet. And I have spent hours, weeks, months of my life cooking that thing up. So I'm praying that someday I get to release that to you because it's going to be good. That being said, the research that has gone into that, I get to share a little bit of that with you. So yes, I have definitely spent some time. So if I'm not on here, if I'm not doing my day job, I am working or researching. The second I got off, even during my day job, I'm actually like researching and trying to figure stuff out. So every single video I could possibly dive up, I've spent way too much time. Someone says, dude, release it. I will when it's done. So far, this one video, I don't know how many of you guys are nerds and know what I'm going to be talking about, but this one video I'm working on is 1 terabyte of video footage. As the biggest video, and I do video for a living, that's the biggest video I've ever made in my entire life. Like, just the first portion of the video, episode 1 is 30 minutes. Episode 2, because it's gonna have to drop in episodes, believe me, it's a lot of information. Episode 2 is gonna be about 25 minutes. 3 is about 20 minutes. Like, I work on it. We'll get there someday. But that being said, researched the max. Okay. My life has spent way too much time UFOing. So, is Greer a gifter? I need some NHI to tell me. Yeah, so Stephen Greer he's got something cooking. Actually, speaking of Stephen Greer, he does have something cooking. Just recently, I saved it in my phone, but he has a special announcement that's coming in September. And I don't remember the date. Y'all could look it up. But there's a UFO announcement coming in September from Stephen Greer, and I'm really interested to see what he's got cooking because he knows something that I don't, obviously. But like in my story that I've been trying to get to the bottom of, what I've spent almost a year of my life researching, he knows something, and he says it's bad, like dangerous, like worse than 9/11. I don't want to scare you guys, but like Stephen Greer said that, and he said it's like, he said if something doesn't get fixed, that's the outcome. I have done a lot of research and I don't know what that something is. So, yeah. Just saying. Bob says March 5th, 2026. Bob, clarify on what March 5th, 2026 is. Is that the date of the treaty that ends? Who's Steve? Stephen Greer is a UFOologist now, and he has worked with a lot of people who are in the UFO industry. As a matter of fact, he just released last year, Stephen Greer released a 3-hour-long conference about UFOs, UAPs, and he went to just say, look, this is what we know, and he kind of opened his arms and spread out his information across the internet. A lot of people hated him, a lot of people loved him. I think he did it early because he wanted to get a jump start on all of the information. Because some of the stuff that he had brought to light during his interview is now coming to light now. For instance, there's a man who was involved with his speech who worked in Antarctica, and this man claims that there is technology in Antarctica that would shatter brain cells, essentially, saying that we have this green laser light that, like, can create earthquakes on the opposite end of the world. As a matter of fact, he said it did create earthquakes on the opposite side of the world. And he says, I know that because I was on the team that started it. He didn't say that he was responsible for it, but he didn't say he wasn't responsible for it. He said that he was on the team that did it, and it caused an earthquake somewhere on the other side of the world. And yeah, it's been a little while since I watched that video, but regardless, yeah, so there's that. What else was there? So that actually just came to light again in a different News Nation, I believe it was, an interview where that guy came out and said it again. So regardless, his information is coming back up to light that he shared with us last year. So go look it up. Stephen Greer's UFO conference. It'll blow your mind away. Yes, somebody says a green laser. Yes, it was like a green energy laser or something like that. That was hidden down in Antarctica. But that's funny because the Antarctic Treaty states that we are not allowed to have weapons of mass destruction in Antarctica. As a matter of fact, a lot of Antarctica is completely closed off to the public. We're not even allowed to go there. We can go to parts of Antarctica. We can do research on penguins. We can do outer rim research. But a lot of Antarctica is completely closed off to you and me. Even with permits, even with money, we cannot go to spots. And there are still, to this day, lots of pieces of Antarctica that humans have not even stepped foot on. Here's the thing. Antarctica is interesting. Pull it up on Google Earth once. You ain't going to be able to find a spot in the center of Antarctica that's not photoshopped by a 2-year-old. Okay? It looks like it's just pieced together, gloppy and glooby, just garbage. Interesting fact, in 1820, ladies and gentlemen, was the time when humans first stepped foot on this continent. Now, tell me, in 1820, by that point in time, how would we not have completely diagrammed that entire continent? Also, fun fact, almost every country in the world owns a sliver of Antarctica. Did you know that? We own a piece of Antarctica. America doesn't, for some odd, strange reason, but a lot of other countries do. I think it's like 12 other countries or continents. But, long story short, Colonel Byrd, I believe his name is, ended up writing about his trip in his diary. Now, this is an interesting story for those of you guys who don't know this, but General Byrd ended up writing about his trip across Antarctica because he wanted to be one of the first people to do so. Now, back in 1947, I believe, it's 46, 47, he traveled in a plane across Antarctica to explore the reaches of it. And he wrote in his diary that while he was traveling across Antarctica, he noticed an uptick in temperature. Temperature went up to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. It's quite warm. He said in the distance, he said he's seen some greenery and what looked to be like a mammoth. So needless to say, he was exploring and he flew his plane over there and he confirmed in his diary that it was indeed a mammoth. You know, they did say that we were bringing mammoths back. Go take a look at that article on Google. Interesting. So, as he was flying his plane over there, he said, I'm not kidding, in his journal, he said he looked out the right side of his airplane when he seen a UFO. The UFO that was flying next to him had a Nazi symbol on it. Okay? This is also right around the same exact time that I told you Hitler and the Nazis were experimenting and looking for time travel devices and also the bell-shaped UFO. I'm not saying it's correlation in any way. I'm just saying it's the same time period. He looked out this window to see a UFO when he noticed that his airplane was no longer responding to his actual controls. So he was going left and right and it didn't do anything. Over the radio, he was told he was in good hands and his airplane landed automatically in the hole where he was instructed to talk to a creature or thing called the Master. The Master told him that he was very happy that General Byrd was there because General Byrd had been considered a prestigious person. The Master also described that he had noticed that humankind had been playing or tampering with technology that was far beyond things that we should not have been tampering with. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time period, this was what was it, 40s into the, it was probably 40s, so 46, 47. At this time period, we had just played with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the big atom bombs, okay? We were playing with nuclear explosions. Fun fact, side of the story, there is supposedly on Antarctica a lot of coal, and then also, what is the name of that product? The other stuff that goes into nuclear bombs. It's interesting. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, back on track. We've had too much to drink. Plutonium. There we go. Plutonium is a lot on Antarctica. Anyways, he was told by the Master that he needed to come back and tell our government that we should not be playing with this technology. And apparently he did. So he came back, told our government that we did not need to be playing with that, because guess what freaking happened after he got back? Not only did the man who created the nuclear bomb get his license taken away, but shortly after that, a nuclear treaty was written up that ended in 2026. Antarctic Treaty started. The Antarctic Treaty said and stated that there shall be no weapons of mass destruction, no weapons of war in Antarctica. However, the nuclear treaty got started, and every continent around the world had to sign it. Every country had to sign the nuclear treaty. That ends in 2026. So maybe there is a connection to General Byrd's diary that is about to be broken, and that is why we are reading the book called Imminent, and that is very well why this information is coming to light today. That's just a theory. Cheers. But, true story. Oh, I get too excited telling stories sometimes. But that was done by some research. I'm here for all this. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, any other questions, you guys? I see there's 33 people in the chat. What's up? Where are you guys from? Hit me with some questions. Let go. What's the name of the book? The name of the book that Luis Elizondo just dropped today is called Imminent. That's the best I can describe it. I think it's called Imminent, which is scary because the meaning behind imminent means like imminent danger, like it's coming. So there's that. New York, what's up? Niagara Falls, nice. Colorado Springs, you guys, that's awesome. You guys are from all over the place. Super cool. Earlier today, I was talking to some people who are over in Australia. I need to go over there. Admiral Byrd was a part of 2 expeditions, one in the 40s and one in the 50s, and then he went on that was the last I've seen it, studio tour to talk about what he had saw. That was interesting. So if you guys go read what Bob just wrote in the comments, he said he was on 2 tours through Antarctica. Not just Admiral Byrd. It was also, what was his name too? He was an astronaut. Today is one of those days where I'm having fog brain because I'm buzzed. God, Neil Armstrong, I believe, was one of the other people who went to Antarctica. And when he got back from Antarctica, he posted and said that we are all in grave danger. That post was up for a short period of time and then wiped clean. That's quite interesting. So Antarctica is a very interesting continent, ladies and gentlemen, because how much did we get taught about it? That's the other thing. Like, it's the one continent that's like absolutely freaking huge. It's like larger than the United States, but yet, what do we know about it? You and I could probably say that it's at the bottom of the globe. It's cute little penguins on it, and it's full of ice. And maybe some research there, and 1 or 2 movies take place there. But like, that's it. So, sus. No cap on God, sus, right? God, I'm getting old. Neil has seen some everywhere. Yes, Neil has definitely seen some stuff. I know. It's interesting. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful night. It's been nice to come on here and chat with you guys. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to go watch some TV and chillax a little bit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our chat. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you guys. Maybe you guys learned some stuff. Thank you again. Go check out some of my videos that have just recently dropped on my TikTok channel, on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel. Facebook and YouTube are going to be stop in or drop in. All one word, stop in or drop in, one word. Go check them out. Subscribe to those channels. I'd love to have you guys over there. Appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night. It was nice seeing you guys, and I promise I'll keep you guys up to date with any news that drops. Thanks again.